Howdy, and welcome to the True North Leader Podcast. And I'm Bobby Albert, and I'm the CEO of Values Driven Culture. Well, recently I spoke to a Christian leaders group in Dallas, Texas, and I thought that today I would share with you the first part of my talk with them. Next week, I'll share the second part of my talk with these Christian leaders. In 1938, my dad started a furniture reupholstery and refinishing business. And back then, they didn't have retail stores like we know today. And so many people would completely redo all the furniture in their home. In other words, completely reupholster and refinish in their furniture in their home. In the late 50s, my dad listening to his customers, because many times these customers were also moving, and he started a moving and storage business. Now, I was very fortunate as a little boy to hang out with my dad. I mean, I knew who the bankers were, the people that handle our insurance, the people that repaired the trucks. Back then, we had full service gasoline stations. I knew the people that even put the gasoline in the trucks. And my dad, when I was 12 years old, let me go out on my first moving job. Now, right before I went out the door, my dad gave me some great advice. And what he said, Bobby, I want you, when you go out there, I don't want you to act like the boss's son. Now, I don't know about you, at 12 years old, somehow I knew exactly what he meant by that. So when I went out on that moving job, is that I took on the role to serve the crew members of that job. I would do the kind of work that no one liked to do. Back then, it was folding the moving pads, or some people would call them blankets. And the reason why I'm embarrassed to even tell you this is that they were filthy dirty from just the people's furniture. And so nobody wanted to fold the pads because they ended up being so dirty themselves. And I would also run from the truck to the house and the house and the truck, whereas the other crew members would walk. I would take one break to their two breaks. And in fact, I became famous in the company because I didn't smoke, and they did, and I would chew gum during those breaks. And they started calling it we need to take a chewing gum break. So I learned at that very early age in how to serve the employees of the company. When I was 20 years old, life was really good. I mean, I just graduated from college. I became engaged to marry my wife. And I tell you what, life was really good. And uh, one evening that I will never forget, I was playing foosball with some of my college buddies. And one of my friends came up to me and said, Bobby, your dad's had a heart attack. He's at the emergency room. Well, my friends, we got in the car and rushed down to the hospital. And as I entered the doors, my mom stood up about that time also, that our long-term family doctor came up and to us, and he took in a deep breath and said, I couldn't save you. Well, my mom and I were absolutely stunned. And in an instant, I became the leader of this small 5-employee business. And shortly after that, very soon, I learned that we were heavy in debt. In other words, all our debt was due short term. In other words, due all within 1 year. But what made that so difficult, our total gross revenue for the year was the same as the size of the debt. Now, I tell you what, I found myself just scraping and scraping and scraping every day. Every day was like a crisis mode. And with a lot of people helping me, within that first year, we were able to increase the revenue by 252%. And we had the highest profit in the history of the company. And I was able to pay off that debt. Now, I tell you what, I mean, I was even surprised we were that successful. And of course, the bankers were happy and they were willing to loan me some money now. Well, from that point forward, our company just kept growing, kept growing, kept growing, kept growing, kept growing until the year 2011. We had grown to over 150 employees, and I was able to sell the company to a publicly traded company. Well, I wanted to come today to talk with you about that outward success is an inside job. And let me ask you a question. Today, are you playing the game to win, or are you playing the game to not to lose? Are you playing the game to win, or playing the game to not to lose? You see it often in sports. When a team gets way ahead in the score, what happens to them? They start playing the game to not to lose. And what have you seen? They end up losing. So this is why I'm asking you this question, because it's so important in how you're running. How is your life going? How's your business going? How's your church going? How is your nonprofit going? Are you playing the game to win? So keep this in mind, is that I'm here today to talk about the issues to address the issues that you're faced with. Would you like for your employees to behave like owners? Would you like for them to come to work with excitement, enthusiasm, and with a passion? Would you like for them to even enjoy coming to work with the people that are there enjoying what they're doing, and even enjoying the people that they serve? It's a tough question. So let me maybe ask you this. Is your life, is your business, is your church, is your nonprofit, if you were looking at those as a fruit tree, what kind of fruit is being produced? Is it a healthy one, or is it a sick one? So why some people can produce a bowl full of beautiful, delicious fruit, while others produce so-so fruit and maybe even fewer fruit? A lot has to do with your culture of your organization. Just think about this. It's amazing that when a farmer plants a fruit tree, is that it takes 2 to 4 years in most cases before it even produces fruit. So what does a farmer do? They spend a great deal of time and effort in just preparing the soil that they're about ready to plant this fruit tree. The soil represents our minds. And this is a reason why it's so important, because the battleground is going to be what's occurring in our mind. And this is the reason why it's so important for us to understand that we've got to do everything we can to protect what our eyes see and what our ears hear, because it starts in this battleground that Satan wants to attack. What did Jesus tell us that was the mission of Satan? to steal, kill, and destroy. And if he can get a foothold in our mind as a starting point, it's going to produce sickly fruit or not much fruit at all. But it also takes the farmer. Now, in our life, the farmer is Jesus Christ. But in your organization, you are, as the leader, you are the one that's going to water the tree. You're the one that's going to cultivate the tree. You're the one who's going to prune the tree, just like Jesus Christ does in our life. But you will behave this way out of faith that someday, if I do the right things, I will build, this tree is going to produce beautiful, delicious fruit. And that's tapping into your will of your people. See, the farmer provides the touching the people's hearts. And you're the leader. You're there to touch the people's hearts. You've already done your preparation of their minds. Now you're touching the people's heart. But when you combine those together, you tap into a deep desire within your people's hearts and mind that produces a will, and that will end up producing this beautiful fruit, which is the culture. But guess what? The farmer's not going to stand there and just look at and googly eye over how beautiful this fruit looks and all that. No. If he's in business, he's going to take the fruit, he's going to harvest the fruit and take it to the market and produce profits. That's results. The same thing can happen in your church. If your people are, if the effects of renewing people's minds, touching people's hearts, and transforming lives, what kind of fruit's going to be produced out of that? Out away from the church, or even in the church. The same thing goes in nonprofits. Just think about the results that you would have if you were able to produce a culture of beautiful, delicious fruit. So what is culture? What is culture? Well, I guarantee you, if you went out there and Google, what's the definition of culture, you're going to be more confused than you are right now, because it's very difficult to define. But I'm going to give you a simple definition. And I tell people, look, I'm from Texas. I'm a simple man with a simple mind. Just keep it simple. So let me give you a simple definition. Culture is the fruit and not the goal. It is the fruit and not the goal. I find so many organizations that have made culture their goal. In other words, they think, well, if I just bring in ping pong tables, provide all the food and beverage, our people, they'll be, they can eat and drink, that they'll be happy, and therefore they'll produce this beautiful, delicious fruit. No, it doesn't work that way. Let me give you an example, or a couple of examples actually, is that in Texas, where I'm from, the wind is like culture. And let me just share this. I do a lot of bicycling. I have been bicycling for 40 years. I have logged about 120,000 miles. I know that sounds ridiculous, but when I'm about ready to go out on my bike, I'm not only checking on the velocity of the wind, but the direction of the wind, because I prefer to ride against the wind going out, so that when I'm tired, I've got a little bit that's pushing me back home. So culture is a lot like the wind. And what I mean by that, has anybody ever seen the wind? No, we never have seen the wind, but we see the effects of the wind. Right now, the wind's blowing a lot outside. And if I went outside, I will be able to see the leaves shaking in the trees. I would see the bushes shifting back and forth. But do I see the wind? No, I don't see the wind, but I see the effects of the wind. And that's the reason why culture is the fruit and not the goal. Let me give you another example. Has anybody ever seen the Holy Spirit? No, nobody's ever seen the Holy Spirit. But other people, and even perhaps yourself, see the effects of the Holy Spirit in your life as you love God and love people. But nobody's ever seen the Holy Spirit. And so culture is a lot like the Holy Spirit. That is the reason why culture is the fruit and not the goal. Well, I just wanted to share with you today that I believe every Christian leader can build a workplace culture where people thrive and results soar by integrating the lordship of Jesus Christ into every area of your life, where you live, where you work, and where you play. And that would include your family, your church, in the workplace, and even in the marketplace. And that is the reason why outward success is an inside job. And I'm Bobby Albert, and I look forward to talking with you again next week. You can contact me at bobbyalbert.com, and I want to offer you a free gift. And that is, it's a culture assessment tool that we have developed, and it's pretty simple. It's bobbyalbert.com/culture checkup. It's treated like one word. Again, bobbyalbert.com/culture checkup. Well, I look forward. It's been such a pleasure to share this with you. And we'll talk to you again on the second part of my talk with these Christian leaders next week.